We are back, and again, thank you so much for being with us. Very excited to introduce another great guest. Please welcome Corey Dissin to the show. He is, I love this, your business bodyguard, and boy, does he look the role. He is author of a new book called Going the DISS-TANCE, and we will talk about it today. It is 5-star rated on that Amazon place. Corey, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Jim, what do you say, my friend?
I love the title, DISS-TANCE. Love the cover. You look scary as hell, man.
So I've been told. That's the rumor.
But you know what? I also found, I found pictures of you online when you're smiling and happy, and you look very affable and pleasant and not like you're going to kill me.
Well, I mean, hey, look, it's all part of the brand, but what you see is what you get. And if I have to, you got David Banner and you got the Incredible Hulk. It's like, don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. But I try to stay away from that guy as much as I can because I'm getting old.
All right. The subtitle, 10 Rounds to a Championship Life and Career Life Lessons Inside a Tribute Wrapped in a Memoir. Tell us the important piece about the tribute. I also noticed in the book that you mentioned that as well.
Well, I mean, look, have you ever thought about the 10 people that impacted your life the most? And it's a crazy exercise if you really try to put your mind to it. And when I wanted to write this book, I wanted to be able to recognize the 10 people that made me. Because you just said you see the persona online and the muscles and the attitude and all that stuff. Well, I didn't just invent that. That occurred over time because I bumped into these people over time and they had an impact on me. And that's what created me. And I wanted to be able to kind of give them credit and say thank you, because here I am, 50 years old, semi-retired. I have a career that I love. I live in an area that I love. And none of that happens unless I got that boost and that backing from those people that I mentioned in the book.
All right, let's go through a couple of them and hear some of the stories. Tell us about the principal. I assume that's a high school principal or something.
Well, the principal is he ended up being the principal of the high school that I graduated to. But when I knew him, he was a social studies teacher and the varsity baseball coach, a man by the name of Greg Goodwin. And, Greg was the guy, I dare I say Greg, he's still Coach Goodwin to me. We still talk today. He was the man who taught me about self-sacrifice. You have to be able to make sacrifices if you want, to be successful. And a quick anecdote. At one point, I had the opportunity when you grow up in southern Georgia. Most kids on spring break go to Panama City, Florida, to be on the beach and be with the girls and get into that sort of debauchery. And I had the opportunity to go on spring break with a handful of my friends. Well, it turns out that same weekend there was a baseball tournament that our high school team was playing in off season. And I figured I would go discuss it with him, and he would see the light and understand that, hey, I invested money and I'm going to go hang out with my friends on spring break instead of playing baseball. And he said to me, he said, hey, enjoy the trip with your friends. And I was shocked when he said that. But then following that, he said, just leave your uniform folded in my office. And that got my attention. And, said, hey, if you want to do something, you got to be able to give up something to get what you want. And that's a lesson that I've taken with me and built upon it since.
I love it. Switching gears a little bit, talk about your transition from a corporate life to an entrepreneur and a speaker and a writer and your podcasting. Talk to me about that transition, how you got ready for it. What did you do to plan? Why did you do that? The whole thing.
Well, so you and I are a lot more alike than you might think, because I'm an old radio guy. And, my office was based in Infinity Broadcasting in Philadelphia for a number of years. And, one of my smaller clients was a guy by the name of Howard Stern. And I worked for a production company that created television and radio commercials across the world. And I did it for almost 30 years. And by around 2017, 2018, I kind of figured, there ain't much further I can go with this thing. I was the vice president of the company. I started at the very bottom, worked my way all the way up to VP. I didn't want to buy the company. It just wasn't for me. And usually when you're 25, 30 years in with a company, you get a gold watch and a pension. I didn't see that in my future. And at the same time, all that was going on, feeling sort of unfulfilled and maxed out, working for the man, so to speak. My younger son was on a trajectory to be a Division I baseball player and possibly an MLB draft pick. And I hadn't missed a game since he was in diapers, and I wasn't going to let geography screw with that either, because he was going to go to a school in Virginia, and I was living in Pennsylvania at the time. So reading the tea leaves, I started to put together a consulting business back in 2018 on my own time, on the side, anticipating when he graduates from high school and moves on to play college and be recruited by the pros, where I wouldn't have to be chained to a zip code and I could be free to go wherever I wanted to. So I put these things in action, anticipating in 2020, when all that happened. You mix in COVID, that kind of accelerated everything because everybody was working from home anyway. And it kind of lended itself to this little side business, this little hustle, turning into a full-blown consultantship with, I have, a book of over 200 clients. Like I said, I make a decent living. I live in a very expensive area of Southern California, and I live very well. I'm not a rich man, but my point is I wanted QTL. And Jim, if you don't know what QTL is quality time left. I had the houses, I had the cars, I had a nice fat bank account. That stuff wasn't important to me anymore. I wanted to hang out and have coffee with my wife every morning. I wanted to see my kid hit bombs on the baseball field and not be worried about having to turn in a PDF of some pitch deck or take a sales call. I wanted to build my work around my life, not the other way around.
And so how long did it take you to take that side gig and turn it into a real full-time gig, considering, of course, that you had coffee with your wife and stuff and that you're taking the afternoon off for the baseball, but you would still consider it IRS world a full-time gig. How long did that transition take?
It took about 2 years. I kicked it off around May of 2018. In July of 2020, I was flying without a net.
And what are the main revenue earners now? Right
now, I make a considerable amount of money from coaching other entrepreneurs and teaching them how to market themselves online, or just being kind of a consigliere for them, because I've done the journey that they want to do. I talk to a lot of people that are trying to go from side hustle to 6 or 7 figures. So I work with a lot of people that way. I also have a division of company that's a full-blown design firm. We create websites and logos and social media graphics. I have a team of designers that work for me, and I have a third tier of my business, which is virtual assistants, where if you don't want me to coach you and you don't want us to create the graphics for you and you play with them, my team will post and write copy and do all that stuff for you.
Excellent. I love it. First of all, what country do you get your virtual assistants out of?
USA and Canada.
Okay.
And the person who helps me run, my partner of that, has been a business partner of mine for over 15 years.
And what are your recommendations on building the coaching part of the business? How do you tell people to go about that?
If you are a coach or you aspire to be a coach, you have to build something called know, like, and trust. Don't worry about all your crazy certifications and try to tell people how great you are at what you do. Nobody cares. When's the last time you spent a lot of money with someone you didn't know, like, or trust? Put material out into the world, out into the ecosystem that helps build your authority and get people to know, like, and trust you. That's where because then once you land one client, you can take that story and share that success with the next And you take those 2 and share them with the next 2, and that 4 with the next 4. And that's how I built my business.
And what are the type skills or advice that people need? You mentioned holding their hand. What exactly, what do they need the most? Is it just someone to affirm their decisions, or
Well, they need
guardrails?
someone to tell them what they don't want to hear, to take them out of the comfort zone, to challenge them and hold a mirror to them and saying, this is what I see. This is what you can improve upon. Yes, there are some nuts and bolts techniques and things with certain, whether it's a LinkedIn or a Instagram, yada, yada, or a Adobe Creative Express, we might help walk them through. But a lot of it is some simple things: time management, being organized, learning to put yourself first. That's a big one. Most people put themselves last. It's hard to build it's what do they say? It's hard to fill someone else's cup from an empty one.
Yep. But what does that mean to you, to put yourself first? Does that mean
you have to book appointments with yourself? Meaning, if you should be eating healthy, you should be waking up at a routine time, you should be drinking a lot of water, you should be exercising, you should be making time to spend with your family, time for your own enrichment, whether that's reading or if you're trying to learn a new skill for your business. Most people put themselves second because they think they're being selfish, but it's quite possibly the most unselfish and generous thing you can do for the long term for your family.
So it's sort of like the Marine idea of paying yourself first. You get your paycheck, you put $100 in savings, and then you pay your bills. That way you're not broke when you're old.
Well, like sure. It's all part of the same philosophy, but most everyone is used to taking care of everyone else first and then themselves because they think it's selfish if you're doing something for yourself. It's not selfish. It's actually one of the most generous things you can do for the long-term health of your family, is to make sure you're taking care of yourself, putting yourself first, booking appointments with yourself, booking your clients and your meetings and your calls around routine things that are they're immovable. You can't preempt those appointments with yourself. That's something that I adhere to every day.
All right, let's go back to the book and choose another character. Who would be a good one to tell us about? The voice, the Yankee, or the teacher?
The voice, the Yankee, or the teacher? Well, I mean, look, the teacher is my mother. I'm happy to talk about Mom. She's no longer with us. She passed away in January of 2022, and she was the toughest broad you'd ever meet. Everybody thinks I'm tough. It's her. That's who created that toughness in me. And she was very demanding, and she taught me how to be independent. And, it's not a coincidence that I am in essence a teacher and I'm the son of a teacher. Those things are directly related. And I talk about that in detail in the book. About, even you talked about how I'm a guest speaker. Where did I learn to be a guest speaker? Is because my mom had me talking to her elementary school kids at age 11, 12, 13, doing presentations about all sorts of things. And that's how I got my chops doing that.
That's a tough audience too.
You should have been me.
How scheduled is your day, Corey? Do you do the exact same thing every day, every morning? Do you have a morning ritual? When do you do your working out, for example?
Sure. Well, I always joke, if someone ever wanted to assassinate me, I'm the best candidate, because you can set your watch on what I do every day, literally to the most granular thing, from making the bed to folding the laundry to, I do 2 workouts a day. I do a cardio workout. Then in a couple hours, I usually do a resistance workout. But I don't write those things down anymore, because it's so rote at this point. But when my feet hit the floor, I have a very consistent routine that creates a pattern of accomplishment of success, even for the most mundane tasks. That way I know when I start hitting the hard stuff, I've already been successful that part of the day. But it's literally every day the same thing. It's not for everybody, but it works. It's just like Novocaine. Take enough of it, it works.
I love that. Corey, we're out of time. How do we find out more about you? Get a copy of the book.
So the book Going the Distance is available at CoreyDissin.com. You can go to CoreyDissin.com. It's right on the homepage, or you can go to CoreyDissin.com/book. Takes you right to Amazon. You can order it paperback or Kindle. All my socials are right there at CoreyDissin.com as well. Big LinkedIn and Instagram guy, so hop on there, come say hello. Matter of fact, I think you and I might be connected on LinkedIn, so I'll be sure to be bugging you incessantly.
I appreciate it. Corey, great stuff. Very, very motivating, and really, it's a great story. Congratulations.
Jim, I appreciate the opportunity to share the airwaves with you a little bit, and wish you a lot of luck in what you're doing.
Thank you very much. And we are out of time for today, but we are back tomorrow. Be safe, everyone. Take care. Have a great day. Bye now.